All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Adewale. That's Kore from Adekorede. I head business development and app partnerships at Opay. I've been doing business, partnership, and product for almost 10 years now. Yeah, about 10 years. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Good evening. My
Good
name
evening.
is Ada. I currently manage the customer success team at Moniepoint.
Before you give it back to Adewale, how long have you been doing what you do?
9 to 10 years, plus or minus, accumulative across different places I've worked. 9 to 10 years.
All right. So let me say you could create a new holiday to celebrate customer success, right? What would you call it, and how would you like it to be celebrated?
Shege Day, maybe.
I love
Because
it.
inevitably we all see Shege in CS. You cannot escape it, right? So it can be a month though, paid. If you ask me, right? It can be a month paid. I think it would be a day where the CS team just goes out to have fun. A month actually paid.
Awesome.
All expense paid. per
I'm,
month.
I'm, I'm on board.
Yes.
Very much on board.
So Shege Day, Shege month.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Corey, I'm curious. What's the most creative way you've seen a customer use your product?
The most creative way I've seen a customer use our product. Let me look for which one comes to mind now. That's a very difficult one, but okay. So yeah, it would be pay with Opay solution that allows customer. So at different checkouts, you just click on Opay and it opens up the Opay app, and you just input your PIN and the transaction is successful. So it opens up the app on whichever merchant page you're on. You put in your PIN and you get it back. So that's the solution. But for in a way that the customer has used it, okay, yeah. So it would be something with a betting company that we're doing currently, and they're leveraging us to acquire users. So what they just do is when you go to their platform, once you're an OPay customer and you just put in your wallet number on their platform, they get all the customer details from us and you become their customer automatically. So the ease of registration is now, it becomes more convenient for the customer. So I'm talking from a partner because I deal more with partner than individual customers. Yeah.
So I'm curious. How long have you been at Opay?
OPay 1 year. I'll be 1 year next week. Exactly
Awesome.
1 week. Yeah.
Awesome. Congrats. So, Opay is recognized for its success in capturing a part of the market that was previously very, very against, collecting transfers and all that. How were you guys able to build trust in such a low trust environment?
So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to say now that won't divide this house. Am I going to say, God bless Emefiele? How do I say it? Do you understand? I don't know. But to be honest here, number one was the ease of use. So Opay's strategy coming to Nigeria was to use almost the thing almost everybody did, which is the O ride, the O food, the O whatever, to bring in the customer. However, when brought in the customer, it's now the point where you then convert those customers from O food, O ride, O travel, whatever, to then become a banking customer. Yeah, we're doing it gradually, and we're scaling. But to be honest, the ground breaking moment came around last year, January, and with the old cash scarcity, we're prepared because number one is the sign-up process for Opay. Just put in your phone number, it creates an account for you. The people we're targeting, which were the mass market, are people who just want to do a transfer of 1,000 naira, 2,000, 3,000. So the risk was very low. So why do you then want to put very stringent and sign-up process? So just let them put in their phone number, create their wallet, and they can send their 1,000 and 2,000. So immediately that happened, it was necessary, and everybody would notice that at that time, January, February last year, if you ask your artisans, the mechanic, the organizers, the painters, everybody would just tell you, send to my Opay, send to my Opay. So because it was just easy for them, they weren't getting much. So why do you want to ask them BVN, NIN, and all those stuff? So that was what we did. And another thing is this, right? And I learned this about 8 years ago. No, about 6 years ago at Alert, right? When we built Alert and we went to campuses, when people wanted to download the app, you hear students complain a lot about the size. I don't have space on my phone. I need to delete that. So if you look at the Opay app, it had small memory size, and it was easy for these artisans who use this, not the phones you guys have here, right? To be able to download that app, so everybody could have that app on their phone, sign up very easy, and they could get their funds. So it was that for us, yeah.
Very much. Now over to Ada. Now similarly, Moniepoint's terminals are everywhere, right? Enabling payment not just through transfers, but also card payments. How did you ensure that your product met the needs of these small businesses and gained such widespread adoption?
I mean, if you generalize it, how do you meet the need of anybody if you don't listen to them, right? So big, small, medium, one thing that we always do is to listen, right? There are multiple ways with which we gather feedback, and we don't just gather them in silos. We actually listen to them and try to solve these problems that they have brought to us.
Awesome. I'm curious, are there any particular strategies that your team or the company as a whole has employed to make your customer success team like take a lot of ownership, right? Are there any particular strategies that have worked for you as a team?
Yes, quite a number, but I'll list a few, right? First off, it starts from the onboarding process. We don't just dump you and say, learn on the job. It's not a jungle, right? We have a solid onboarding process from the start where you're trained. There's a dedicated team that trains you. Aside that, you also get to buddy with people doing the job. You know, we try to make sure that you can learn. What we do is a lot, not lie, it's a lot. So we try to pace you from the beginning. The foundation has to be solid, right? So beyond the onboarding process, we also want to make sure that you have the right tools. I can't tell you to join the emails team and you don't have access to the application with which to respond to mails. So we ensure that you have the necessary software you need, necessary hardware, as well as accesses to do the right thing. Beyond that, there's a knowledge library that I have for my team. I want a situation where a customer comes to ask you something, you're not sure what to do. Your colleague is also probably not sure. You can go to the knowledge library, do a control find, right? The library has a step-by-step process on how to handle every single thing a customer may ask you for product related. So it's also in an attempt to empower you as someone who is solving their problem, right? Sometimes you may not know how to solve that problem in that instance, but there's a knowledge library where internal, you just do a control find or you search with a keyword, and it has been structured such that you see step 1, ask the customer this, step 2, do this, so that you can solve that problem. So we want to make sure that you're empowered, you have all you need to solve their problem. Beyond that, okay, let's just leave it at that.
No, you're free to keep going. No?
That's fine, that's fine.
But yeah, definitely, I can also relate to that. On our team, we call it the customer playbook, the customer success playbook. So ideally, every process is documented there. And if somebody joins the team, or even if you've been there for a while, it's easy to forget something that you don't use often. Then there's a point of reference for you to use and get that knowledge. I'll also say for us at Paystack, it starts from even the hiring, right? We want to make sure that we're looking for people who know how to take ownership, who have like a sense of initiative. One thing that we used to do before is, it wasn't like a strict requirement, but if you apply to be a customer success professional on our team, if you had owned a business before, that gives you a few points because you might be very conversant with like the pain points of business owners in Nigeria, right? Like we all know how Nigeria can show shege, but if you run a business, the shege is on another level, right? And then definitely, like you said, onboarding as well. For us, because we're an API first type of company, we immerse people even into like the technical aspects. I think everybody on my team knows how to use Postman like crazy, knows how all the API calls to make and all that. And yeah, I definitely agree with that. Adewale, I'm curious. I know you're not on the customer success team, but how how has Opay also empowered its customer success team to take ownership? How have they been empowered to put the customer first?
Okay, so before I answer that, there was something that came to my mind for this question, and it was on my last point, right? And it was going to be another thing that I need to be, that also helped Opay is technology. It's very, very important. The people in the mass market, they don't have, so I made a transfer this afternoon, and it didn't get to the beneficiary. And I could call my friends in the bank to say, please help me check this and this. And they said, oh, he was saying awaiting settlement and this. For the mass market, if they transfer 1,000 naira, the beneficiary must receive it. So they're not going to wait. So for you, the learned, and you could understand that there could be some NIPS downtime like we had in previous weeks, and they don't understand that. All they won't care about is, I send that money, the person has received it. So you also need a very good technology infrastructure to be able to do that, which is one of the things Opay also has, and which has given us that. Now, to this question, part of what we do is remuneration, performance bonus for the customer service officers. I think about from few people in some special business teams, not my team though, get something like that, right? So we ensure, because, like Stephen will say, and Stephen is our global CEO, so for Opay, it is customer first, team members, team leads, management, board, like that. So that's the way it goes. So whatever you're doing first, you're thinking about the customer. So everybody in Opay thinks about the customer. So the remuneration, the bonus, and there's also opportunity to grow fast in our customer success team. So if you're in that team and you're well identified that someone who's very good, you would grow fast. Another key thing for us in terms of customer success is everybody at Opay solves customer complaints. So if you meet anybody and you say, I work in Opay, and they give you, there is an issue, a customer raises an issue, you come into the team. So we have an internal tool where you can just add everybody to the group. So you don't necessarily need to go and be looking for who. So if you send an issue to me and it's not for my team, and I know this, I just put and just plus into the group. Before you know, a group that started with just 3 people, then have about 100 people. So in just about 5-10 minutes, you're able to resolve that customer issue. So we have that internal tool that allows you just bring everybody, anybody you can just think of, just add them to the group and say, we need to solve this, we need to solve this, and we keep that going. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm also curious, especially, and this question is perfect for both of you, because you guys have like really large customer success teams, I believe. Yeah. How do you ensure that everybody adheres to the same customer success practices? Like with such a large number of people, I think like, I don't know if it's Opay or Moniepoint or both of you, but I think like you have like a huge call center with like hundreds of agents. So yes, I'm curious, how do you get your customer success team to adhere to the same practices, the same methods, and so on? So one method you mentioned is the playbook, I imagine, but is there anything else that you use? So I'll start with you, then I'll go to Ada.
Yeah, so one, the playbook, and the second is the carrot and stick approach. It's just like that, right? So if you're good, you get rewarded. If you're not good, if you can meet up with it, you're shown the exit door. It's just like that.
So my team is across the 37 states in Nigeria, and
across how many states?
The entire states in Nigeria.
Okay.
I have CS teams everywhere, and this is where structure comes in, right? You cannot, by any chance, monitor every single person. The numbers are a lot, and that's why we have structure. So first off, there are set goals, there are OKRs and KPIs that are set. From the onset, you're made to understand during your onboarding that these are the expectations. Right? A customer who comes online to chat with you should get a first response within 30 seconds. A customer who calls should shouldn't wait so long, right? All these things are defined. Someone who sends us an email, you know, first of all, nothing like I didn't know, right? There's that. Then beyond that, there's also that, so we have town halls. Beyond setting the rules, I want to talk with you. What do you think of these goals? Do you think you can meet them? So beyond just setting these goals, there are team leads, so there's state team leads for every state, and then emails, live chat, there are also team leads. So We also encourage communication, right? Have a weekly meeting with your team. How far? Which shege did you see last week? How did you handle it? We try to. Then there's also that. There's also so there's this thing we do. We have a performance improvement plan in place. We don't just kick you out, right? In fact, you see your performance month on month, week on week. So you have an idea, I don't decline, I'm not meeting targets. You already know that, you can see that, So after 3 months, for the least performers, we put you on a plan. We don't just want you to, the economy is hard though. We don't just kick you away, right? We want to know how far, waiting your call. Is it heartbreak? Do you want 1 week off? We have a performance improvement plan where we do specialized trainings for you. We want you to improve. We want you to be better. After another 3 months, if the heartbreak is not over, you already know. In fact, you probably the one to hand in your resignation because we've given you enough chance. So in summary, managing a lot of people with multiple personalities is not easy, right? But how we try to maneuver that is to have a structure in place, a structure that cuts across the different teams, people who understand the OKRs and KPIs, and regular communication between the team.
Great, thank you so much. I'm curious, what metrics would you track to ensure that people are doing what they need to do? So you say you set KPIs, OKRs. Yeah. Can you share some of them, if possible?
Okay, so these OKRs differ by channel, right? If I was looking at the inbound channel, for example, responsible for picking call, I monitor login compliance, right? If you're expected to be online picking calls, and we're remote, so you're picking calls from your house, you use a software, but everybody's home. It's easy to be distracted by budgeting when you're supposed to be working. Let's not lie. Yeah. So I measure login compliance. I want to see, at the end of the day, it's automated. Your team leads and I get the report to see that you were logged in for just 4 hours instead of the 8. Beyond that, there's also something called answer rate. We want to know how many calls came in versus how many were missed. It's also part of the KPIs we measure. We do a monthly test. I know it's not secondary school, right? But remember I haven't said it before. We do trainings every week for everybody in CS. You have to understand, right? So aside the training, every week, yeah.
Wow.
Yes,
I'm curious, do you have like a particular, do you have like a particular day that is set aside for training every week?
No, it varies. 37 states. How many people? No, it cannot be the same. The business will shut down. No. So we have a schedule. There's a schedule for the entire state, and in some states there are multiple offices. So that's where structure is very important.
Interesting.
So for inbound, back to the initial question, there's answer rate, there's login compliance. I want to know how many calls you pick a day. I'm not saying you have to pick 200, but I want to know how many you're able to respond to. By the end of the quarter, I do a bell curve to see what most people are picking versus what you picked. I look at your CSAT. Are you cutting the call on the customer? Hello, customer is going to rate you, no. So the CSAT is another thing I look at for the inbound channel. Productivity, answer rate, talk time. It might seem like a lot, so we also don't want to scare you. It's not hard, just do the right thing. Some customers will keep you on the phone for 30 minutes. Some will keep you for 30 seconds. At the end of the day, it's the balance. So the metrics differ team by team. For live chats, what's your first response time, ma? Is it 3 hours? Are you watching Netflix? Yeah. So we have tools in place that help us measure these things really easy. I want to see how many chats you're responding to in a day. What's your average handling time? Did I say average? What's your average handling time? CSAT as well. So it differs by channel. There's also the physical offices as well. Everybody has theirs. QA. So there's something we also do. Every day, your interactions are audited randomly. There's a QA team. Their job is to look for your beans, right? And because you don't know the beans they will pick, you don't know the interaction they will audit, you're almost compelled to be stellar across all your interactions. So their work, when they come in the morning, is to pick your random, let's go and check what Steven has done today. Pick random interactions. There's a form, there's an application they use for auditing. They check things like punctuations, correctness, timeliness, It's a couple of things. So your QA score, your QA per week, you see your 0 or your 100 or your 80 every week, and all of that make up appraisal at the end of the month.
Awesome. Definitely, I can definitely relate to that. I think for us, first response time is super important. We try to keep it within 2 hours, under 2 hours within like the working day.
Which channel, please?
For emails.
Okay.
For emails, for social as well. For chats, obviously, it's like much shorter. It's like, where's Precious?
With customers, you said social, they don't roast you on Twitter. When you spend 2 hours on Twitter.
On Twitter, no, not really.
Okay.
No, not really.
Our customers are angry, you cannot say you want to give their first response in 2 hours.
So what's your target Sorry guys, one house. I'm curious, what's your target first response time?
So first off, let's say that we don't always meet it, right? For days where there was this almighty downtime that we saw shaggy, right? It wasn't possible, but the first response time differs by channel. For live chats, we say try to do it in 30 seconds. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
Okay.
For emails, we try to say 6 hours because we receive plus or minus 3 to 4 emails a day. So we say 6 hours, 6 to 12 hours, more realistic. For calls, it's auto answer. We are not waiting for you to pick the call in case you are watching Telemundo. So as the call enters your system, it will pick it for you and you answer, right? For social media, we also try to do that 2 minutes.
Okay.
Because there's this thing people do now, scammers. When someone complains, they'll quickly go and reply. In fact, their name can be Paystack, maybe double Y, and customers don't see it. So someone who has a handle called PAYY, Paystack, will quickly say, thank you for contacting us. We're in your DM to solve your problem. But that's the scammer. So as much as we say 2 minutes for social media, it's a very delicate. In fact,
do you guys have people impersonating Moniepoint like that?
Are you not in Nigeria? Who are they not impersonating? I'm sure they're impersonating everybody here, every company. They're everywhere. In fact, sometimes they even put the CEO as their DP. Some of them will even put the logo as their. There are so many, and we have a security team where we always report and they do their work. But these people, they're not tired.
Sleep.
No. So that's another importance of timing. As much as we say 2 minutes on social media, we strive to ensure that we do it less. In fact, you have automated responses that will first tell you, this is this. Avoid interacting with. Avoid it. We'll give you that disclaimer so that if a Paystack with double Y now scams you of your money.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But also, I'm curious, just like to the audience, when it comes to social support, especially Twitter, who has been able to make it work, especially since our guy came and bought it? Because they nuked the API. So I'm curious, how, and this is to the audience, so just raise your hand. How do you handle Twitter support today? Do you use a tool? Do you log in directly and answer? Any takers? Or you guys don't do Twitter support Okay.
So we just log in directly and respond to complaints. We used to do 8 to 4 before, but then we split the team into 2. So we have morning and evening. When Musk, before he came, we were working the regular hours. And, obviously, you would still come back at night, clear your thing, but we had to do it so that you're covering at least 20 hours, 18 at least. So we have 8 to 3 and then 3 to 11 kind of thing. And, we try our best. Like Adaeze has been saying, we just try our best, but that's just it. You can't. People on Twitter, and they do this thing, they say, I'll drag you if you don't respond. So we make it work the best way we can.
Awesome. Is there anyone here that handles Twitter?
I have a question. I wanted to ask, is it possible for multiple people to log in from different devices?
Is that you have a code, so every time someone logs in, whoever is with the phone number linked to that account, they'll send a code so that it's not just, people aren't just, basically everybody has 2 FA, and it's not just one code. right? I don't know that there's a limit to how many people can log in at once. I think there is, but yeah.
All right, Chiso.
So largely what Lillian said, and there was this, our CRM tool front had the API integration for a while, and then they took it off and brought it back, but at a higher cost. So if you want to plug in, ridiculous, because I think one seat is about $193, so it was almost the cost of one seat per
Per
month.
year? Per month.
Per month, yeah. So
Isn't that more expensive than a front seat?
yeah, a front seat is about that range per month. So it was, the last time I checked though, the API add-on was about that amount. So it was not sustainable. So what we decided to do was what Lillian suggested. And I think if it's a company account, I don't know how the registration was done earlier, you should be able to log in. Once you are logged in and it's pinned on your Chrome, anybody can log it at any time. So on our team, we made sure everyone logged in and just pinned it. So whoever is online at that time, they're just prompts in-app that remind you to check.
Well, I think there are some CRM like Sprout Social, Zendesk that you can actually use to. Yes.
So, so I think like late last year. Actually, you know what, Tolu, please come and tell us what happened to the Twitter API, because I frustrated his life trying to get it to work, and I realized that Musk is a different person. He can't. So, what happened to the API?
Yeah, they just changed their pricing structure. So we built an app that let us, I think we had the Zendesk Twitter app, which didn't work perfectly for us. So Steve made me build an app that we could use to connect to the API ourselves, and so we could now respond directly to tweets and DMs from Zendesk. And then Elon Musk came along and decided that everybody should pay for access to the Twitter API. You're interested in the app? You'll pay you. Okay. Yeah, it was something like $10,000 a month or something crazy. For the tier that we needed, I think the basic tier is like 100, but it only gets you access to your profile and maybe a few other things. The tier that we would have needed to respond to DMs, to respond to threads and everything was like, yeah, 10 grand or something crazy. So effectively shut that down. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So yeah, back to you. So Adewale, I'm also curious. What metrics do you guys track to keep the team honest, to measure performance?
Okay, so I'm going to talk from a business standpoint, which is who I am. So for the business guys in-house and the product guys, I think one thing is important. For me, for the type of customer I deal with, I think you, the business person, what they call in bank like relationship manager, is like the first line to your customer. So, for example, someone like me, all the businesses that happens on the Opay app, using our payment gateway, using anything over 100 plus, I ensure that every member of the team are all in that groups. So you're not waiting for, in my case now, it's the technical support people who do the customer resolution. So you're not waiting for someone in the technical support team to pick that issue. You as a business person, because it's your business. So for example, if I'm rating my team based on transactions that the partner is doing, based on transactions, based on MAU, monthly active users, monthly active transactions, daily active users and stuff like that. So you definitely know that such a partner cannot have a downtime. They can have an unresolved issue. So anytime they put such issues up on the Skype group, the WhatsApp channel, and another thing we do is flexible, right? We even allow the partners choose what channel of escalation they like to use, right? So we give them that option. They give us that. I ensure that every member of the team are on that group. Once you see anything like that, you know you have to pick it, because if you don't pick it, it means that partner is not doing transaction, and at the end of the month, when you're supposed to get your bonus, it's definitely going to affect your bonus. So from a business standpoint, you as a business person, you're the first person in front to see whether your customer is having issue. Then you can if you can resolve, then you then reach out to the support guys to help you resolve. So business, we are at the forefront when it comes to our type of business to ensure that your customer are good.
All right. So, and this for the both of you, I'll start with you. How do you integrate customer feedback into the product, right? So like, customer success teams are a very good source of, knowing where the issues are, where the bodies are buried, basically. How do you ensure that the feedback that they constantly get, makes it into the product?
Okay, yeah, that's very important, right? However, there's also need to be a process in place because every customer has an idea of how the product should work. And if you take all those ideas, then your product will be out of the market. So what we do is we have a team in charge of that. When they get that customer feedback, first and foremost, you must put yourself in the place of that customer. So, for example, Opay, everybody in Opay use the product, and not only use the product, you use the product from a customer standpoint. So even before customer would give feedback and say this and that is not working, as a staff, you're the first person raising it, right? And if a customer then tells us to say, oh, these and these are what you want, then you then use your priority, or what do we call this, the way you do the ranking to see how important is this. If we implement what this customer is saying, is it going to get us more users? Is it going to help our transaction? Is it going to make it more convenient for the customer? Because at times, from a customer standpoint, everybody just says things from the point that they like it. You hear customers say to you to say, on my app, I don't even want to see electricity or bill payment. I only come to pay to do transfer. So that icon where I have to click, no, I don't want to see. But if you do that, then what then happens? So at times you put all those things in like a box, then you filter, and then look at the one that you know will have the biggest impact across all your customers, then that's what you implement. All right.
Could you ask that question again?
Yes. How do you gather and integrate customer feedback into the product? And also, if you have an example of how feedback has led to product innovation or improvement, that would be helpful.
So let's establish first that not all feedback will be integrated, right? You cannot be in KYC level 2 and tell me you want to be able to transfer 10 million. Hello, CBN, right? So yes,
Facts.
as a first, let's establish that we encourage customers to give us feedback. We love it, but please, it's not everything we're going to take. So there's something I do. I do town halls, right? We have focus groups, we have communities. There are multiple ways to gather feedback, facts. But something we do today is town halls with the different business owners in the different regions every month. And then, oh, your KYC process is a mess. I cannot upload my documents. It's not going, it's failing. Do it now, approve it now on this call. So you take all that feedback, you acknowledge it, okay, understand this, let them know that you're listening to them. You acknowledge that the message, and you have to put it in structure, proper bucket. You can't take it to the product and say, they said your KYC is shitty, no? You structure that feedback they have shared, put it in relevant buckets. I'll never bypass compliance, to be honest. The fear of your regulator is the beginning of wisdom. I'm sure my colleague here can understand. So truth is, when we've structured that feedback, we have to run it with compliance. Guys, how far? This is what they're saying. Can we? And then you take it to the stakeholders, who could be the product people, whoever will build, whoever will correct. A recent example is CAC, right? We are all aware that you must have CAC. So one of the things we did was we sort of had an integration with CAC, and you can register for your CAC on the app. So you want to upgrade, you don't have a CAC, you don't have to go to the office. From the confines of your toilets or bedroom, wherever, you can sign up, do your name search, do everything on the app, and we will get your CAC and your TIN for you. So that was because when we're telling people to upgrade, they complained a lot about, the office is crowded, who will I leave my business for? Who will answer my customers? So we listened to that concern, and we gave them the option to do it themselves, on the app. So that answers your question.
That's great. Thank you so much. And definitely I agree, not all feedback is valuable. But I'll say feedback, like you mentioned, is also really important. Some of I remember our payment page. How old is payment page? But payment page, I remember Shola telling us what led to the idea. He was always proud of the tagline. It takes 15 minutes to set up Paystack from signing up to setting up your first payment. But that was in the context of developers, right? Because we give you like code snippets, you set it up, and like everything is there for you to do. And somebody signed up once, and she was like so confused. Like, you said I could collect payments immediately. How come like I don't know anything that's happening? And that's what led to a payment page. How can we have a simple place where people can just enter information into a form, and then they can make a payment, and we get there. One of the latest one is also a virtual terminal product. There was a merchant that needed terminals, but terminals, again, you guys are very familiar. Terminals can be very problematic and can be expensive as well. But for the use case they needed, they just wanted a place where they could be collecting, money from their customers. And then, that's how the virtual terminal was birthed. What if we can just, print this information, have a QR code that people can scan, and then they will just pay like to a normal terminal. And, that's how it came to be. So yeah, I definitely get you on feedback. I'm going to wrap up the session now so that we can go to Q&A. There are some questions that people sent in, so I will start with those questions. If you're here and I call your question and you want to like explain further, please go ahead. But before we end, I have like one last question for the two of you. So actually 2 questions. Earlier I talked about hiring, but I didn't ask you guys. So I'm curious, what do you look out for when you're hiring? What does your hiring process look like?
So first off, there's actually a talent acquisition team, and that is what they're saddled with, right? We tell them what we want, and we handle it. But then when it gets to the executive stage, I don't ask you when was Moniepoint founded, or how does POS work. No, I ask you unconventional questions. How do you handle stress? Because you're coming to collect small shiggies. I'd like to know how you handle that stress. So the talent acquisition team will do the needful. They'll filter CVs. They look out for the relevant requirements that you've asked. And then by the time it comes to us, we want to interact with you, right? What's a typical day for you like at work? What would your former colleagues say about you? What are the challenges? So beyond your CV, we've already seen what you wrote. We've already got to know that data. We want to know you as a person and how you would handle the job. So the talent acquisition team will do the needful first. They sort of do all the filtering. And then when it comes to us, we want to know. Me, I used to type chat. Sometimes I tell them, please chat with me. I want to see your am and I am. Because I'm sorry. I cannot for the life of me. Right? So beyond that, how do you handle stress? I'll tell you, please, could you answer this question non-verbally in the Google Meet chat? I want to see how you simple tense. It's not even a big question. A very basic question. I'm looking at how you're constructing your English, how you're, putting your tenses, how you're putting your comma. Are you answering me with exclamation mark in the first line? Why are you shouting? Are you using caps? So in a nutshell, that's what for my team, hiring process is like.
All right. Adekorede.
Okay, so for me, what I look out for is how endeared are you to your brand, that place you're currently working. So any question I'm asking, I'm looking at how you're linking the response to the current company you're in, because I know that's the way you're going to treat me. So a lot of people complain about toxic offices and the rest. So I also want to see, so if you are leaving a place to my place, when I'm asking you those questions, I want to see you make example of where you are in terms of their product. So, because if you really like a product, so for someone like me, for example, and I use myself as an example, I'm so proud of, so I've worked in few places. Alat is one of the places I'm most proud of. And I'm not sure you can ask me a question and you won't see me mention Alat, right? So if I look at for something like that in another person I'm speaking to, I want to see how those brands you've worked with, how do they come into play in your current life? So it's not just like you just come there, get the salary, and just move on, because that's the way you're going to treat the brand, that's the way you treat the customer. At times, like when I was coming for this event, I couldn't even put it on my WhatsApp, because if I put it up, the next thing I would get from tomorrow is everybody was just saying, please, I have this issue on Opay, I have this issue on Opay, I have this issue on Opay. Yes, it was like that. The funny, I left Alat about 4 or 5 years ago, and as of 2 weeks ago, I'm sure the the girl must have graduated from Unilag now, sent me a message and said, oh, she's trying to upgrade her alert account. She's finding it difficult. How can she do it? So that's the kind of thing I create. And I also look out for that when I'm talking to you to see how endeared are you to that brand you're currently in. So you're not just only telling me about what you can do, but how do you relate it to that brand you're in? Because that's the way you also take my brand and ensure that the customer will love it.
So I'm always curious to know why you're living where you work. I want to know why. It's very important to me, right? And then I get concerned when I look at your CV and I see that you change job every 6 months. I know that, they say when you change more, you get more money, all of that. But hey, my attrition rate is at stake, right? So I want to see how often. I'm not saying don't change, but come on, every 6 months, every 1 year. So you leave me 1 year. So that's going to be a no, right? So that's another thing I look out for at the final stages.
All right, thank you so much. I'm going to ask the final question now. So let me start with you. What advice would you give to organizations at the beginning of their journey towards building customer-centric teams? What would you say they should look out for? What would you say they should avoid?
So you can't build your customer support according to your customer. And I'll make this example. Like, it's not just about reading it, taking the idea from Moniepoint or from Paystack or from Opay. You have to also understand your customer. CBN said, do physical verification of your tier 3 customers. It's quite expensive for someone like Opay to have millions of tier 3 customers. So we sent out the addresses to the vendor. The vendor went to those houses, and everything was returning negative. And address verification is not the business of the vendor. I've gone there. They don't know the customer. The house does not exist. You have to pay me. And it was because the first model we put in place was the model we, all the people who built it, had used in the bank, the way you do the verification in the bank. So I remember those days in bank, at times people don't even visit the customer. They just call the customer. They just describe from Joel Ogunaike, walk straight, turn left, plug gate, like that. So we used that, but we realized that the type of customers we have are not, for example, the type of Paystack customers, right? So we had to now drill down and ensure that it's simple for them. Tell us who we can ask in your area that knows you. So if I come to that area, you just ask for Korede, and you tell us the person we can ask. So there's someone we can get to your area or the nickname that they know you as. So give it to us like that. Also, we also gave a description to say, from the nearest landmark, describe how we can get to you. And we gave samples. So you could describe to say, walk straight down and turn left and turn right. We know by the time the vendor goes turn left and turn right, there's a probability they will get. So in terms of engaging your customers, build things according to your customer demographic. It's not just about taking those ideas and just saying, you want to follow this, follow that. You must understand your customer, and you build whatever solution you're giving to them in a way they will understand. My in-app, for example, if you do transactions and they fail, from the app, you can just do a single click, type whatever nonsense you need to type, and it will get, so you make a transfer, you're not sure if it's successful or not, just click on that transfer, it will tell you to say, dispute it, just type something, it gets to the customer service team, they can then pick it up and then maybe give you a call to engage you further. So you don't need to go and, how many of my customers can even draft mail? So if I'm expecting them to draft a mail or even call, people are coming to buy airtime of 100 naira, in the 100 naira airtime, you want me to still call you. If I call you, I'll just curse you. Like there's nothing to talk to you about, right? Or you want me to go to social media that I don't even know where to, do you understand? So they don't even care. So you have to build things that are your customer-centric in a way that your customer can understand that. Very easy for them, that's the point. Make sure it's easy for your customer to be able to communicate to you and you can help them resolve their issues.
Please ask that question again.
So I want to ask you a different one.
I want to answer this one.
Okay. What advice would you give to organizations that at the beginning of their journey to building a customer-centric culture? What should they do? What should they avoid?
Okay, so, he has said the basics, but I have a friend. I want to tell her story. She's in Port Harcourt. A few years ago, she got a job. They were paying her 40,000 naira. Her transportation to the location was 20K. So already what you have left for deodorant, very important, and everything else was 20K. And she was at the front desk. So again, it doesn't matter the size of your business, right? Your first customer is your staff. You have to take care of them. The experience you give your staff will determine the experience you give your customer. I've done inbound, outbound emails. They've insulted my life, my generation. But, at the different places I worked, I enjoyed where I was working. I felt good about myself. I had fantastic teammates. In fact, we had mirrors in our cubicles. So when they're insulting, you just smile. Or imagine the person has a horn, all of those things. So I gave them good experience. I can say that with my chest, right? Because my employers at the time made me feel good. So regardless of the size of your business, your first customer, your internal customer, you have to invest in them. How often do you train them? Right? What culture, what values have you embedded in the fabric of your organization? Even if that my friend, they use her email as the company email when she joined. Yeah. Right? And then when she resigned later, the CEO called her to say, please, can you open another email?
Wait, sorry. Her personal email?
Yes. So, yes. It's 40K, right? The guy was not ready. He didn't have culture. He didn't have no mission, vision. None of that. One-man business, quite all right, but still the basics were lacking. He used her email. When she left, he called, he said, please, can she give him the access to her email, open another one? Because they were already getting communications from externals via that email. So the basics were lacking. So, in summary, to also add to what he has said, it doesn't matter what you have or your size or what you don't have. It's the experience you're giving the customer. So you have to start with how you're treating your staff. That's the most important thing.
Sure.
Just to add this, right? So it's not, and when you say how you treat your staff, it's not only in the remuneration, it's not only about the money, it's also how your staff feel about you. Do they feel part of the organization? Do they think they are heard when they say things? Do you listen to them? So it's not just about, there are people today who work in an organization where they pay them millions of naira, but they don't even care about it. They just come to work and they just go. And you'll be surprised that the people who are the least paid that care more about the organization. So it's not, while payment, yeah, I agree, we all want to earn more money, and as everybody moves around, like you said, 6 months to 1 year, thereabout. But how do you make your staff feel part of the organization and they can go extra mile for the organization, even where the payment may not be as great as it seems? I think that is also important.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Please give a round of applause to our panelists. I don't know about you guys, but I learned a lot. We're going to move over to Q&A, and then we'll move over to small chops. All right, so I'm going to start with the questions here, but I think I'll prioritize the people who are in the room. So if you sent a question, you're not here. Yeah. And then I will open it up to the audience as well. So is Fabian from... Sorry. Cuddle. I didn't know if that was his surname or the company. Fabian from Cuddle here. That's an interesting company. Okay. I actually need him to be here. Him to be here because I'm not sure I understand the question. It says scaling customer loyalty. Okay, so I'll move on. Kemi from Pharmacy. Okay, awesome. So, I've lost it. Okay, yeah, so she's asking, what are 3 things you have learned? Sorry, I will need you to ask this question because I'm not sure what it means. It says, what are 3 things you've learned from a customer town hall? Something like that. Yeah. Sorry.
Hi, guys. My name is Kemi, and I work as a care specialist at Pharmacy Africa. And Pharmacy is, I would say it's a young company, right? And we are very close to our customers, and we're trying to start the town hall thing where we meet with our customers. And I just wanted to know, what are 3 things, just 3, that you have learned from talking to your customers regularly from town halls, right? I heard you say you meet with businesses, right? But just small spaces of customers that have been with you for a while. 3 things that you've learned.
Okay, so for me, it would be that not all great ideas or great suggestions from the customer are actually great. Yes, so you must always have a rethink of all those. And those suggestions that also look crazy and awkward can be the best of suggestions. So for me, it's just about that. So oftentimes, don't just take it at the first level and implement. When you get their ideas from them, it sounds great, but in reality, trust me, if you implement that idea, it could get you out of the business. So you need to have, like we've all said, have a way you filter those ideas, the great ideas, the one that sounds awkward. That once you hear it, you feel like, how can you be saying such a thing? Just imagine like a customer saying, I want to be able to do a KYC. Two customers saying, I want to be able to do 10 million naira. Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? But if you take it back, you could be able to build a solution around that that would then enable the customer to be able to do that. Maybe not just, maybe he wants to be able to do something of 10 million naira, maybe some through transfer, maybe he can do loans for other parts, or you give him invoicing or whatever to be able to make up for those other parts. So it could also give you some ideas to be. So for me, it's just that thing that I can remember off top of my head now. It's just not all great ideas are actually great, and not all crazy ideas are actually crazy.
Okay. The first thing I've learned is to enable host control, right? Because yes, and this is speaking from using Google Meet. I don't know the size, but Nigerians can be quite chaotic. I'm also Nigerian, so yeah. I mean, who said, oh my God, it's really what it is. So honestly, for town halls, one thing I do is I enable host control, right? Orderliness. You want to ask a question, please raise your hand so that we can attend to people accordingly. You want to type, you can type in the meantime. That's the first thing I learned. Another thing, don't argue with our customers, even if what they're saying is, I don't want to say gibberish, even if what they're saying at that time does not necessarily sound sane or make sense, right? I've learned that in these, and in the physical ones, you can enable host control. So even if it's a physical focus group, I've learned not to argue with them. I just listen. I take notes. I want them to feel like I'm hearing what you're saying. It doesn't end there. Then the third thing is they will hold you to ransom if you don't do what you said you would do. So the third thing is part of my job entails collaboration. I harass everybody in Moniepoint, other departments, SVPs, customer does not like this, So I take what they've said, I make sure to follow through, right? So if it's a product floor or if it's a process floor, whoever is responsible, I follow through, because the town halls are periodic. I make sure that I start off the next one with giving you updates on what we've done the previous, to let you know that, hey, we listened, here's what we're doing about it. So those are the three things.
All right, thank you. Samuel is asking, what marketing channels are most effective for B2B businesses, e.g., social media, online advertising, industry events? Is Samuel from EarningPay here? Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm curious, from your point of view, Ada, and what are the most effective B2B channels?
Can I give the mic to Rayo? So marketing is not my forte. I wouldn't speak to what I don't have.
Okay.
She said no. Don't worry, come.
I didn't hear her, so let me give her the mic to say it.
I said no.
Okay, does anybody want to answer that? Like, there's no right answer. It's what works for you guys.
Where's your customer? That's the first question. Let's deep dive it, right? Where's your customer? Are they on TikTok? Are they twerking? Right? Are they on Instagram cooking with cucumbers? Or are they reading the newspapers? So I think the first thing to focus on, who are my customers and where are they? Are your customers our grandparents who still watch NTA in 2024? So I think the first thing to answer that question, if you really break it down and unpack it, is to know who your customers are, where they are, and then just meet them there. So that's where you should do your marketing. Are they in universities? Are they still in school? You go to the campus, right? You do all of these things they do with, students, waves and all. So it depends on where your customers are.
Okay, exactly what Adaeze said. If you take Opay, for example, I'm sure so that you don't come to bite me for this. Maybe in a few months you then see our commercials on TV, but I'm not sure anybody has seen any Opay commercial on TV. Because my customers, So I'm not trying to bring them. You know, when I say they're the mass market, right? They're not looking at the 10 p.m. news on channels where you want to put. They're not looking at those things, right? So it also makes you cost effective. If you understand where your customer are, your marketing will be cost effective, it will be targeted, and you will attract the right audience. So I already know my customers are artisans. So if I bring in business people to the team, if you're a body on the team, I'm able to tell you to say, you know where you can go? You can go to the mechanic workshop there. You can go to these places. You'll find the OPay customers and you're able to onboard them. So it's not just about sending money on marketing, post on sponsored ads on Instagram, Twitter, DSTV, and the rest. Before you know, you run out of funds. So know your customer, know where they are, and you would have a very, what we call CPA, cost per acquisition. It would be very low.
All right. There's a question here that I really like. It's, how do you manage the handover between the sales team and the customer success team?
You make it clear that okay, so let's speak to the payment. We have a payment gateway, Moniepoint, and before now, we had unconventional ways of supporting customers. So what the sales team would do, there were merchants, there were business, there were bigger businesses, and the merchants would say, oh, create a group on Skype, we'll support us there, or they'll come and say, create a group on Slack, they'll support us there. So one of the first things we did was we had to sit down with the sales guys. Come. On Slack, I cannot measure first response time. On Slack, I cannot send you CSAT survey after every interaction. So I had to sit down with the sales team and say, hey, let's actually put a structure to this, right? Let's migrate these people. So it's really just communication. You've sold market, Abby. You want me to keep these customers. Bring them here. So your onboarding process as a salesperson, after you said all the, the stories and the big English, give them channels of actual communication. You can maintain your relationship with them how you choose to, but I think that communicate with your sales team, have an alignment, have an agreement. This is where we will support them. I don't think it should be so difficult from there.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to pause here just in case the questions in audience before we continue. We have like 13 minutes to the end of the Q&A. So, oh wow, there are a lot of questions. So I'll take two, I'll alternate. You raised your hand and you put it down. Yeah, I'll start with you since you raised your hand first. Okay, let's start here.
Good evening, everyone. How do you mourn your empathy or your empathy? Is it empathy or empathy? How do you mourn? I have a reason for using the word mourn. How do you mourn your empathy for a customer and their life cycle when management or product decides not to do what is fair? For example, I've worked in places, or I've been in situations whereby this is the price, and this is the discount, and the discount is still on. Customer has paid, because as head of IT, I have to do some sort of marketing push out and all of that, and still have to manage e-commerce. Some of us have many ads that we run in certain companies. But I've been in places whereby my customer or the lead I had brought in wants to now pay for something, or has paid for something, and for example, I'll give this an example. There was this time we really wanted to sell the product. So we said, see, let's sell the training as well. So people who can't even use the product would now purchase the product because they'll be like, oh, I can learn how to use the product. The product is a B2B product, basically. But see, we sold the product, we got the cash. But the training, everybody was running back. And I was like, I've onboarded this person because this person felt like they are going to. And at that point, that was like one of many cases whereby management was not going to do anything about, all the customer pooling you've done, all the nice words you've done, you've owned the business, you've done everything and everything. But now, you are left to you and your customer. Management has disowned you and your customer and all of that. So how do you disassociate? There are times where I felt like going upstairs and banging my hands on the table, which I can't do. But how do you, and there are several times you guys also have had customers that have been very, oh, my father is in the hospital. But, they are dripping the tears. But the thing is, your account has been flagged. The money you got for your father's hospital bill was pushed from crypto, and we have to flag your account. And this customer has to go. In small businesses, this morning happens because you don't easily, or let me say in B2B, this morning happens whereby this guy, you've known him since secondary school, and he now works for this business, has now brought this business, but now your management or product don't do the thing, so you have to push them out. So how do you manage dead ends with customers, and especially when product, and I think my question is
So I think instead of banging your head, are you sure you not disassociate yourself from, there's that. But then again, it still boils down to the type of people you have in your organization, right? I'm sure that if I make a commitment to do a training, unless, my leg was broken, God forbid, and something dire happened, I will do that training. If I'm not able to do it, I will delegate it to a competent person to do it. So it speaks to the fabric of people you have and the culture in that place. There's that. Secondly, we are sincerely apologized for. I'm sure that's in fact, I'll print a t-shirt that says we sincerely apologize for. At the end of the day, there's nothing you can do. If the culture of the organization does not make everyone take ownership, right? You disappoint the customer, unfortunately. You apologize to them. If you can if you can say, oh, for this one, we can offer you a 10% off because of the disappointment, so that they stay or they have something to come back for. But I would also advise that the culture, it could cost you a lot of customers. Are you even doing business? You sold something, you put a package together, people have paid. Did you not discuss, there's also that alignment, internal alignment and agreement. You will handle the training, you would handle the onboarding, you would handle this. Must be in place, agreed by everybody before you push out the product, right? You've pushed it out, internal fails, you apologize, you refund them on time. As you apologize, and they are seeing their refund, because that's where the next chaos will come, right? So you refund them on time and possibly offer them some sort of incentive or initiative for the next offer that you may have. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'll say at the heart of it, just like she said, is being empathetic, right? And also communicating. So this thing that's meant to be done wouldn't happen anymore. You don't leave them hanging. You don't avoid that painful response because it's not the response you wanted to give. You respond as quickly as you can so that they can cut their own losses as well, face their own disappointment. But also when you're doing that, you do that with as much empathy as possible, right? There's something my manager used to say, even if you're saying no to a customer, you say it in a way that it makes them really happy, right? And that is one of our basic principles. I don't know if you have seen people share on Twitter that I've gotten rejected by Paystack, but the rejection made me feel, I knew what I was doing. So it's important that even if you're delivering bad news, you deliver it with, with empathy as well. Sorry?
It's a former organization.
No problem. Thank you for the context. Tolu, Jage, Go Lemon.
Okay, hi, I'm Abdurrahman, customer support at Go Lemon. I'm curious, for Moniepoint in particular, what's your tooling stack like? If you can quickly go through it, the tooling stack.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. What do you mean by tooling stack? Let's unpack that.
So what tools does customer support at Moniepoint rely on to get work done?
Okay. We have a CRM tool. We currently use Zendesk to respond to customers. Side eye. We use Zendesk. We use Xcali to pick calls. We are moving to Sprout. So Sprout Social is also in the mix. Are you typing?
I have actually.
Are you sure we should not
I'm
do
going
this
to check
by
out
the side
all of this
later?
too. What?
Okay, so basic tools, the external tools, the rest are internal. We built them, we use them. We actually productize support. So we built a tool that solves for the age. So remember, my first customer is my team. So there's a tool we built where whatever the query is, you just select the drop down. It gives you what to do. So that's internally built. Yeah, Zendex, Xcali, Sprout Social. Yeah.
Did you say Escali?
Yes, Xcali.
Excali.
X. You pay me, guy.
I'm curious, what's your experience with Zendesk like?
Wait, Steve. What? How can you spell the Excali thing?
X for xylophone, just X. Then CALLY.
How many of you know that?
What's your experience with Zendesk like?
I love it. Yeah, it was simple to use compared to Salesforce, right? Yeah. Salesforce is, well, yeah, compared to, I mean, they say that it's not as easy, and this is my personal experience, it's not as easy as Zendesk. Zendesk is like a tabula rasa, be configured. You know, I'm able to put automations, I'm able to put triggers, I'm able to put macros, put some workflows in place that make life easy. You know, there's the routing of tickets automatically. There are so many things. There's a knowledge, you can access the knowledge library right there. You can see where the customer went to before coming to chat with you. So from my experience, Zendesk has been fine so far, as long as you know how to configure it properly. That's it.
All right, thank you. So my final question is about shifts. Do the folks in your team, do they work in shifts? If they do, how does that work?
So my team works 24/7. Actually, yeah, we're remote. We have a ton of tickets coming every day. You don't want to know the number, so because we want to manage the response times and sort of make the experience better, we work 24/7. Some teams, night shift is divided into two. For some teams, they have just one night shift, but I'll leave it at that. 24/7, we're online to assist. Except for calls, please. We stop the call at 10 p.m. because we've come to learn that the wee hours call, it's not making quite a lot of sense. So for calls, I've currently capped calls at 10 p.m. for now, right? It starts at 8 a.m. and then 10 p.m. it goes off. So every other team is 24/7.
I have the mic. Yeah. All right. So I have two questions. Hi, Somto here. So I have two questions. One is a curious question, which is just like, how large is the Moniepoint customer success team? And then the second question is, I'm just curious about whether you have boundaries as far as how far you're willing to go for a customer. So I heard you say that you will use any tool that the customers want to communicate with you on. So So I'm wondering if there's a distance you won't go as far as customer support, and then what is that?
Should I say the number? All right, so, no, I was asking my, so at the moment, my team is a little over 800 and counting. So, yeah.
Okay, so for the second question, the reason is because the type of business we do, I rely heavily on the service provider. So when I mean the service provider, the TV companies, betting companies, I rely on them a lot. So I have to try to ensure that I factor in what they want, because basically I'm just processing their payment. I'm just making customer be able to get their service. So if tomorrow they say they are not willing to give me that service, there's nothing any customer come and do with me. So, but in some occasion, it's not every time it goes like that. There's sometimes you would not be able to use what they've said, and you then introduce, but you just give them that sense of entitlement by saying suggest. So they then tell you this, then you come back to tell us, oh, so sorry, this cannot work, but let's use this and this. So it makes it easier. Because for our type of businesses, if I force you to use what I want, when you have issues and you're not comfortable escalating that issue there, it becomes a problem for me. So there's going to be a downtime, and anybody will go on social media and say, okay, they're about to leave, they're taking the money back to China. Just go and remove your money and all those things. So exactly, so I have to be very careful to ensure that there's no downtime from the part of my service provider. Yeah.
So it's 8 o'clock, but there are lots of questions that need to be answered. Can I have 10 minutes more of your time? And then we'll go to the food. Or let me say 15, since you guys were happy to say yes. All right, so Chisom, and then...
Okay, so do you need me to stand? Okay. So 2 questions, really. So the first one, how do you, as neobanks, handle like perception of outsiders seeing your brand as a hub for no-gooders because of the low adoption, low barriers to entry, right? So, because I work in finance, so I have experienced it myself, right? So how do you handle perception and churn in that regard? And then the second question is, if you could restart your career, what would you do differently? For both of them.
So trust is very important. I remember there was a time where they were roasting us on Twitter, and even before we get to those roasts, our customers have already come to answer the questions. They've come to vouch for us, and I lie. These guys, what's the point if it's not Moniepoint? You know, they come and sing our praises. So the thing is, the ones you have, do they trust you enough, right? Are you focusing on them such that they can fight for you? You know, so even if you're a month old as a business, the 1% customer you have, it's important, and that's where the being customer-centric comes in, right? The experience you give them, how you make them feel, what you're selling to them, they would fight for you, regardless of, how new your bank is. And churn sometimes can be inevitable, right? Someone in tier 2 who is insisting to me that they want to be able to receive 2 million, and you are in tier 2, and I will delete your app if I cannot do it now. You can't do much about setting churn. You can encourage them, oh, please upgrade, we'll approve it instantly. So churn is almost inevitable. As much as we fight against it, we do all we can to keep the customer retention, all of that. It sometimes can be inevitable. So continue to do what you're supposed to do as well as you can, right? You build trust. There'll be loyalty. You have people fighting for you. Your customers will speak for you. Maybe, I wanted to say Oga wife. From the beginning, no working at all. But the truth is, handling all types of customers has shaped me today. Has made me, I know I've learned a lot. I don't think I would do any other field aside customer service or customer success or customer relationship. And it's a solid foundation. You can transition into products, right? You can transition into multiple fields. You have the knowledge. You understand the customer journey. You understand, how to manage feedback, how to gather feedback, how to act on it. So it's actually a solid foundation for anything else you might decide to go into. I would not change anything in my career, except maybe one of my team lead at some point in the past. But as I start... Nothing comes to mind at this point, to be honest, because I was always intentional about, in every team I found myself, I was intentional about learning all that needed to be learned about that team, being able to be relied on by my leads at the time. So I would not, at this time, nothing comes to mind, in terms of change. So I wouldn't actually. I think so far it's been good. It's been a journey.
Just a quick response. For me, number one, new customers are good, old customers are golden. Not everybody is your customer. It's not possible. Everybody would not like you. Everybody cannot be your customer. Another key thing for me is know who your customer are and treat them well. So, like she said, for Opay at times, when you see people send out broadcast, we are going back to China, they are removing the money, you still see some people put out that say, it's a lie, it's their competition that is doing that. Don't mind them, they're not getting anywhere. My money is still there. Then you see someone jokingly say, that is 1,000 that's in my own account to, don't touch it, I'll transfer it tomorrow. So, once you know your customer, first, just everybody cannot be your customer. You can only have a certain percentage of the market. Focus on those people. Your old customer, hold them well. Don't neglect the old customers while running after the new one. So hold those old customers well, and they will do you well. In terms of career, I would have tech, to be honest, because the tech people, the product guys, no matter how great the idea is, once you bring it to them, they just say, forget it. This one, 6 months, and I'm like, how do I want to wait for 6 months to sell this to a person? So I think if I have more knowledge about more knowledge in technology, I think that would also help. So that as they are telling you to say no, when you do the call, the response will be like, they can also say, no, it's a lie. It can also work like this, and you can make that suggestion. So just give you those timelines. They will give you those timelines because they also want to prioritize, and they don't want a lot of work on their desk. They'll give you those timelines, but there's someone waiting that you must deliver. So if I know more about that, I'll be able to say, no, it's a lie. This one can work. You two do it that way, do it that way. And I think I'm learning a bit of that at Opay, and I'm happy about it.
All right, thank you. So my question is, how do you invite customers for town halls? So I intend to have a first one for where I work, and I don't know how to go about it, especially for B2Bs, because these guys are very busy. So how do I get their time and attention? And also, what do you talk about aside customers' feedback? Like, what do you talk about during the meetings?
So first off, we have communities. We have communities where a lot of our customers are, and for context, these customers that we focus on are not necessarily the merchants or big businesses, right? They're those ones who have a lot to say, right? They want to tell you their mind. So we have communities where we post important information, and we have it on a state-by-state level. So we also have the regional groups, but there's also the state group. So once a month, a week before the date, we start to post the information. Hi, please remember that. They know this thing already happened. It's been on for over a year, right? Sometimes they even share it with their friends who are not in the communities, but are also customers and have things to say. So the first thing is building a community in a way that works best for the business, right? There could be communities on WhatsApp, there could be communities, or it could even be a mailing list. I'm sure you have emails. You can send out emails ahead. Hi, we're going to have a mixer, we're going to have this. You send periodic emails to remind them. And then you can decide you want it physically or virtually. You choose your dragon because you have to be ready. So if it's physically, you make all necessary preparations. If it's virtually, it'll be easier because you could be at home, Things to talk about. There's always something to talk about. Funny enough, it could be new products that you're working towards. It could be old products that you think they don't know how. So you could even check your contact reasons, the top 5 contact reasons for the previous month. What did they complain the most about? You can use that to start the conversation. Okay, we can see here that out of the 50K people that reached out last week, 10K complain about inability to reset their PIN. So it can be a knowledge sharing session. Oh, hi guys, we have created a small video, a small skit that shows you how to reset your PIN. You play the video, you explain to them, make it fun. Let's not be like a lecture, because they will not listen. It's also good if you can be engaging as well, so yeah, that's it from me.
Okay, it's 2024 and we're in the AI craze and all. So I just want to ask, how are you currently thinking about AI on how it can be useful to your customer support activities, internally as well? That's what
Chat, GTP, GPT. AI is here, right? It's inevitable, it's helpful. So how we leverage on AI is Let me think. So there are integrations today on Zendesk, right? Zendesk has done this integration with AI where you can suggest, depending on what the customer is saying, it could suggest. So it's not there to do the work for you entirely. It could aid. It could help make it stellar. It could review your, what you've composed to send. It could structure it better. It could give you options what to say, right? So today, AI is a big subject, to be honest. It's something that perhaps in another mixer we would unpack it, because there's also that conversation of, AI will come and do our work. AI will do this, right? But today, at this time, we're leveraging on it to make work easier for the team, right? Suggest, give ideas, compose properly, structure better, and send to the customer. There's also automations. That's also AI. So I'm able to say, if a customer comes to my web form and selects KYC as the contact reason, send that ticket directly to the KYC team. KYC queue, don't send it to the general pool, right? You have automations, you have triggers, you have workflows. You also can make life easier at this point.
Yeah, so for us at Opay, I just realized now that we have a group that is AI something. So I think my head of customer success was telling me that there's something they've developed whereby, so when they see, it can pick posts on IG or Twitter that are threats to the company. So when those your influencers, those top ones, when they post that we know can escalate, easily picks them and it sends it to them. So they attend to them. So that's part of what they've done to ensure that posts that they know can escalate, it picks it and they deal with it. Why those you that we can just tell, apologies for the inconveniences, we give it to someone to deal with, yeah.
Hi, Adaeze. My question is for you. What are some coping strategies that you can share that you've used to care for your mental health in particular?
I'm going on leave next week, first of all. Yeah, first of all, I'm going on leave next week. So as a professional, right, I know what my responsibilities are. I wouldn't say because my husband is annoying me today and I'm angry, So first things first is that I'm able to wear my sleeve of professionalism when it's time to work and do what needs to be done. Where I feel overwhelmed or tired or, I'm possibly not giving my best, I take some time off. I totally shut down, right? Take a day, 2 days a week to get myself together. I go and buy ice cream. I go and do nothing, actually. No emails.
And at the back of your mind, you're not remembering the work you still have to do.
You forget it. As it comes, quickly forget it because it's waiting for you when you resume. That's the truth. So you have to be intentional. Watch Bridgerton. Watch something that will reduce your IQ. But in that period, it's the truth. You need to just shut down. You have to be intentional about taking a break. Because God forbid, if you break down, work will go on. Right? So do your best when you're supposed to work. You have your duties. You can't be calling in sick every 3 days, first of all. And that's why it's important to be professional. You wear your sleeve of professionalism. Do what needs to be done. You're being paid to get something done, right? Get it done. When you see that, I'm tired, go on leave. Sick leave, paid leave, whatever the case is. Just decompress. Shut down. Sleep. You mustn't really justify your action. Just don't open your laptop or respond to your emails, really. That's what I do.
Thank you. Okay. Aside from complaints that customers bring to you and requests that they make, how do you proactively get feedback from your customers to build for your customers?
There are multiple ways to gather feedback, right? Focus groups. So there's a survey after every interaction. There's an automatic survey, and that's where AI comes in as well, and automations. They get a survey. If you like, feel. If you like, don't feel. But people give their feedback. Very useless support. Fire this person. They don't know the work. right? And we do root cause analysis. It's part of so I have a routine, and on a weekly basis, my team lead and I, we do root cause analysis. We look through the negative comments, negative CSATs, and we do a deep dive. We try to find what the problem is. Oftentimes, it's not so far away. It's really just a small thing. They just want you to. So, feedback, there are multiple ways to gather feedback. But one of them is feedback from the CSAT survey that goes out after every single interaction. We do the root cause analysis, and then we act on it.
So we'll have like 3 more questions. Should we extend the Q&A?
Sorry, it's not a question, just a feedback. Okay, consigning somebody saying going the extra mile, I actually wanted to buttress that it's actually depending on your products or the business you serve. So, for example, I used to work for a web hosting company. I don't know if anybody knows how working for a web hosting company can be, and that's like one of the largest web hosting companies in West Africa. And there are sometimes it's beyond your control, and there's nothing you can do about it. Once your domain has been restricted by the domain registrar, there's nothing, even if the customer registered it with 50,000 naira today, and it has been suspended in the next 24 hours, nothing. No refund, and not because you already know that this domain name has been taken, and it appears that they're going to be an impersonator. We are trying to use that domain name for phishing processes. So even if the customer comes crying, it's beyond those. It's possibly NIRA that suspended that domain name and is out of it. And there are certain times that customers possibly do some certain things using your web hosting, maybe to carry out some malware and the likes. And people in the #1 technical team are going to shut down your servers. First thing, because it's going to affect every other person, because once a particular server goes down, the tickets goes up, everybody can go to Tutu and say, name servers are down and the like. So there's nothing, even without you calling us, you have shut down your server first to call that. So there are some certain things that is even beyond your own as an officer. You have to do it, and it's even, you can't even go against those guidelines. So there's certain things that you cannot, because customer is begging you. So you're a criminal, there's nothing I can do. No, in your mind, you know this customer is a criminal. I'm sorry, there's nothing. You get.
And someone posts one screenshot, a support staff asks the customer, why do you steal from people, right? But the thing is, I think in such situation, just let them know from the onset, right? If I'm onboarding you as a merchant, or rules, terms, and conditions, you're not to do this, you're not to do that. In the event where you do this, this might happen. So no matter how much they cry, you give them a tissue, you refer them back to the onboarding toolkit you provided in the beginning.
All right. So guys, we're going to have 2 more questions, but you have all the time to network, speak to each other, speak to them, right? Some of us are like really hungry. So, but just kidding. But please hang around, get to know your peers, get to learn from them. I believe that everybody in this room, there's so much to learn from each other. So we're going to take 2 more, and then we're going to open up. You have been raising your hand, so I'll give you one. So please go.
All right, thank you so much. So my question is, outside customer service departments, and not to the engineering department, the other departments, obviously this department should have a customer service mindset towards their day-to-day activities. I don't know if you understand the question. Outside customer service, right, the other departments, engineering, products. Now we're talking about customer service, basically what the whole organization is doing for. So I'm saying, what is the customer support mindset every other department should have? Do you understand? Right, behind their day-to-day activities, engineering, products.
Product people, they used to have coconut head. I don't know. There's this, apologies to the product people here, but there's sometimes a kind of disconnect between the products and the builders and the customer. I think the basic thing is just empathy. Have mercy. Pity the person, wear their shoes. Empathy is not hard. I think that's something that every other department can try to imbibe. Imagine it was you. Imagine it was your parents. Imagine it was a loved one. drop that game you are playing. Try to help us actually fix this bug, So I think, no, well, empathy, to simply answer his question, I think if every single, it's not hard. Just imagine it's you. Nobody likes to wait. Nobody likes a bad service. Nobody likes. So just imagine it was you, and, there should be a paradigm shift from there.
Thank you. I'd just like to find out if you think that proactive customer service is possible. I think that 80% of what it is that we do with customer service is reactive. We wait for customers to tell us that they have issues before we solve it, right? And, I've just been thinking lately, I think that there's a possibility for us to be proactive with the services that we provide to customers. And I'd just like to know, are there some things that you do with your team in providing solutions to customers that are proactive? I'd like to learn. Thank you.
So that's where the difference between customer service and customer success comes in, right? Customer service is reactive. Customer service is reactive. Customer success, you look at the journey, you unpack it, right? Some people don't even have the applications of the companies where they work. They've not even downloaded it to know. So, for example, let's say I was working in Chowdeck. I don't even have the app to know what no, not train shit. You looked up. I don't even know if I imagine I was there and I don't have the app. I don't know the process of trying to contact CS. I don't know the process of trying to place an order. I don't know if it's hard to look for jollof rice, right? So, unpack the customer journey from the beginning to the end. If you want to shop on e-commerce website, for example, how is the sign-up process? Is it stressful to create an account? Try it yourself, right? Look at it. You would see you most likely will see potential problems there. Solving those things ahead of time is proactive. I'm sure there's even a customer somewhere who has probably had that bad experience but hasn't complained yet. So unpack the journey. That's how proactive customer service, just whatever service you're providing, right? Unpack the journey from the beginning to the end. Speak to your circle. Guy, how far? Download this app. Tell me what you think, right? Hear from other people around you. What's it like? Was it hard to sign up? Was it hard to prepay? Was it hard to complete your order? Did you wait so long for your delivery? What's the wait time like? Was the rider rude? I promise you that each time you review that journey, you will find something to solve for. It's now up to the product team to take 6 months to solve for that, but that's where proactive customer service comes in. No, my darling.
Okay. Yes, so just to add so if you do B2B, I think it's very important, no matter how many businesses you manage, it's important that you also use their product. Because from a business standpoint, what they will do is, they've complained the first time, the second, they're not responding, they just take you off. So oftentimes I try as much as possible to go to all my businesses. I check their app or their website to be sure I'm still there. So you're not going to wait till end of month. When you are doing your review, you then say that the transactions have gone down, the monthly active user has gone down. Then you now want to engage and say, this one, you're not even serious. Something that we turned off on the 7th. It means that you don't even value us. Because if you value me, can I turn you off 7th of the month and you're coming on the 4th of the next month to say my transaction? It means, so you also, the way we call it, is it mystery shopping or window shopping? You also mystery shop your businesses. Go and check. You are no longer there. So imagine someone turns it off today and you find out today and you engage them. Customers also, when they make complaints and you can't resolve, you just let them know to say, I can actually do this for you, but it won't be good when you come tomorrow and you need this request. I'm no longer here to help you because I've been fired. See, don't worry. Tomorrow, in 24 hours, they will get it done. So we also say, okay, no problem, and you have it like that.
So in Moniepoint, we have a site reliability team. Their job is to monitor success rates, right? So there are multiple services we offer, and we measure success rate. There's a dashboard. Once you see red or amber, depending on what you've configured, there's a problem, right? So again, speaking to proactivity, for example, let's say that we can see that the bill payment service is down. We see that out of the XYZ attempt in the last second, XYZ failed. We will send out comms. we're already letting you know, hi guys, we most likely shut it down or, move to the next provider, but we're already seeing that this is a problem that just started, and we try to put out that fire before they come and cloud our channels. That's also another, proactive measure that can be taken.
I want to add one more thing to your question. Status update pages are really helpful. If you have a downtime, proactively communicating it and letting people know you're on top of it gives peace of mind, right? For some people, they will not see the need to reach out further anymore. All right, thank you, everybody. Just to close up, I'm going to call Somto up here to... Yes! Please, round of applause for Somto.
Hi, guys. I was not expecting to stand in front of the room. So yeah, I guess I just want to say thank you for coming to Paystack. Thank you to Corey and Adaeze as well. I think what I've learned is just how, thank you to Steve. So what I've learned is just how different it is to support like customers of a B2C, like individuals who are actually using like your software versus how like a business would interact with your software. So like that's like the big thing that I have to keep in mind. Making sure to support the actual customers of your tool. So I guess everyone else here has learned something. Like if you haven't learned something, you can catch me outside. I'll answer your questions. So yeah, after food for thought, food for stomach. So please go outside there. There's some small chops and refreshments outside. You can also take the time to network with each other. As you can tell, I have stage fright. So yeah, thank you for coming and have a fabulous